There's one little caveat you want to make sure you do not miss on planes, trains, and automobiles here. You want to ensure you don't make some of these mistakes, but that usually doesn't happen till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Even educate you while you're in the taxi. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today is a good video for those planning to go to Europe. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I'm so passionate about it because I was born in Madrid, Spain, and going to Europe has been something I've been doing since I was 3 years old. We left Spain when I was 3, but we kept on going back every year to see family, and I've continued that with my husband now to this date. In this video, you can expect a conversation about the 10 essential things you need to think about when planning your trip to Europe. I'm going to cover anywhere from the planning and preparation. Can you even go to Europe? What are the minimum requirements? What is the cultural etiquette when you're there? What does transportation look like? What are some technology items that you need to make sure that you bring with you? Listen up, let's tackle Europe together. Hi, my name is Zaida De La Fuente and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Planning a trip to Europe, you're wanting to go more than likely because of the whimsical of it all. It's so beautiful. You want to walk the cobblestone streets. You want to smell all the fresh bakeries. But there's so much more to Europe than that. There's the heritage, the culture, the history. So much history everywhere you look in any city that you're in Europe. When you're there, it's an immersion in a new way of life. You learn so much, and I always encourage someone to go to Europe. Plus, the price, the affordability. You get so much bang for your buck when you go to most countries in Europe. Some are definitely more expensive than others, but in general, you are getting even more than what you pay for. The first step in planning your trip to Europe is, do I have the minimum requirements to even get into the European Union? There's one little caveat you want to make sure you do not miss. You want to ensure that your passport does not expire within a 6-month time frame of the date of entry into the country that you're going to. I would always err on the side of caution. Double check what country you're going to and ensure your passport is up to date and is not so close to expiring from the date of entry that you go on your trip. As of late, there are 2 other items that you need to think about and consider depending on when you're traveling to a European country and which country you're traveling to. European Travel Information Authorization System approval that you need to have in order to enter a European country. This will go into play by the end of 2026. You're able to complete the form online, so you have authorization to enter the country that you're going to go visit. If you're going to the UK at any point as of January 8th, 2025, you need to complete a waiver ASAP before your travel date so you are able to enter the country. Give yourself time prior to the departure date to complete these forms so you get your tourist screening done and over with and you have nothing else to worry about. When thinking of where and when to go, you want to ensure you don't make some of these mistakes. Trying to conquer way too much in a short time frame and going at the not so ideal time of the year. I wouldn't try and visit more than a couple countries. Maybe doing 3 if your form of transportation from getting from one country to another is via train and avoiding airports at all costs, because that just takes up so much time. I would recommend 7 to 10 days and not going to more than a couple countries and a few cities within that time frame. And let's be real, we want to make sure that you don't feel like you need a vacation from a vacation. For when you go to Europe, that's really important. The high time to go is obviously the summer. People love to summer in Europe. I am one of them. But 1 month you want to avoid is August. August is actually when most Europeans have their vacation and take their vacation. And so if you go anywhere, it's going to be very crowded. The problem you're going to run into is that a lot of businesses close for the month of August or for a big chunk of that time. And so I would say if you want to go in the summertime, June, beginning of July are really great times. Maybe end of July is a good time. You get a lot of great shopping sales at the end of July, which is good, especially if you're going to Spain. We have what they call rebajas, and it's amazing to take advantage of that. The most cost effective, I would say, is super off season, like after the holidays in a February time frame or even November. There's no Thanksgiving over there, so you're not going to be running into a lot of those holiday markets yet. Those start more in December. Fourth, transportation. We're going to focus on planes, trains, and automobiles here. First and foremost, when you're booking your flight, about the existing credit card that you may have. Depending on the credit card you do own, they may offer special incentive bonus point programs where if you transfer the points that you have in your credit card to the specific airline they have a special with for that specific time frame, you can 3x or 4x the points that you get, and that can cover your flight, which is fantastic. Transportation within Europe, always opt for the train. Most of the time there's a high-speed train option or a standard train option. Typically, tickets can be anywhere for a couple $100 depending on what class that you're in. If you're going for more of a standard train for transportation, it could be honestly anywhere between $30 to $80, and that just depends on what class that you sit in. Would recommend you opt for a train over a bus. I took buses when I studied abroad in Spain, and some of those could be overnight. There's multiple stops. You're kind of in a daze when you're riding them, so it's not super fun. But know if there's ever an issue with the train of the destination that you're going to, and this happened to my family and I just this last summer. We're in Malaga and we were going to Granada for the day. Something happened with the train and we ended up getting bussed on the way there. And that was not fun. It adds time to your day, and so you want to make sure that you're getting to the train station with enough time, with the anticipation that there could be a delay to driving in Europe. That is an option, and we are in 2025, so there are automatic cars. You don't have to know how to drive a stick shift. It'll probably be more expensive. Driving around in a city in a car and doing the roundabouts, it's honestly super stressful, and I would avoid it if you can. At the end of the day, if you're in a city and you're trying to get around, there are plenty of Ubers for the most part available. If not, taxis know their way around. I know when we went to London, those taxi drivers know the city and street, every nook and cranny in London, and it's so helpful. And they even educate you while you're in the taxi, which is wonderful. It's like a free tour guide. So I always like to opt for taxis versus an Uber. Uber feels more transactional, and if you're going somewhere that you speak the language or somewhere that speaks English like London, it's more enjoyable and just part of the cultural experience. 5, the currency. If there's one tip that you take away from this section is to bring cash and make sure you have that cash prior to entering the country that you're going to. You want to avoid any terrible exchange rates or any sketchy ATM, your local bank, and give yourself and the bank at least a week to get the currency that you need, whether it's euros or pounds. Think about when you're going to be using the cash. Typically, in all the years that I've been going, I use cash for tips, for coffee shops, for taxis. So I don't like to pull a lot of cash out. I typically like to predominantly pay with credit cards because I don't have any transactional fees. It's so much easier and less items that I have in my purse. So that's super great. Cultural etiquette. This one is, I believe, other than the legal documents to get into the country, the most important category for you to be aware of, and also to manage the expectations you have when you're going to a completely new country with different cultures than your own. I've divided this category into various subcategories to just be clear and concise when it comes to the cultural etiquette with most European countries. First, tipping. It's important to note that servers are paid on a salary basis, so tips are seen as bonuses. When tipping, the rule of thumb I like to give to people is think 5 to 10% of your total bill. 5% is really the basis, and then if it's 10%, that's usually what I tip if I'm going to a nice restaurant or if the service was just completely amazing. The bill is good to establish an expectation when you're going to most European countries. Here in America, you're used to a waiter honestly rushing you out so then they can turn the table over and have another party sit. In Europe, you have to wave your waiter down and tell them you're ready to leave for them to bring you the bill. If not, that table is yours. And it is a cultural norm, especially in Spain, to have something called Sobre Mesa, where you're just chatting and just enjoying the time and breaking bread with loved ones. A lot of the times I read reviews on restaurants saying that the service was slow. Well, it's intended for that. That's cultural etiquette. And in most countries, slow service is just their way of saying, like, you're not going to be rushed. Enjoy this time at the restaurant. Bathrooms. Here in America, you're used to going in, stopping at a gas station or a McDonald's, not purchasing anything, and using the bathroom. The expectation is totally different when you go to Europe. If you're going to use the bathroom, you have to be a paying customer. So do not expect to be able to enter in anywhere without buying something to go use the restroom. The midday rest, or in Spain, how we call it, siesta time. Countries like Italy, Greece, Portugal, Spain, they all have a midday rest, and that's essentially when in the midday between 2 and 4 o'clock, businesses shut down and they go home and they eat their lunch with everybody else. You don't want to plan to go shopping around this time. Nothing is going to be open. This is a time for you to kick back, eat some food, relax, take a nap, and just enjoy your vacation. Meal times. I bring this up mainly because of reservations. If you're planning to reserve a place that's really nice for maybe a dinner setting. For the most part, and I can speak predominantly about Spain, but it's similar to some of those other Mediterranean countries. If you're making a reservation for dinner, dinner is not usually had till a little bit later. So I wouldn't opt to reserve something for 7:30, or you're gonna probably be the only one in the restaurant if the restaurant's even open. If you want it to be super quiet and you want to be the only ones in the restaurant, go for it. But I personally love really great ambiance and just seeing everyone enjoying the food and just kind of the hustle and bustle of it all. Customer service. There's cultural differences around politeness and social interactions. So maybe you're used to someone that's very bubbly and wants to engage in conversation. Just note that there's some places where you may have a waiter or a waitress and they may not want to engage a lot, but they do a really great job in their service. So really take that into consideration, into account when you're thinking about tipping and just your overall cultural expectations. I don't want you to think that anyone's being rude. There's just a difference in level of service and how they present their service to you. Phone plans. If you're traveling to Europe for that sweet spot between 7 to 10 days, I would look into your carrier's travel pass plan. Carriers will offer you $10 a day anytime you turn on your roaming services during that time period. If you're going for anything longer, you can pay $100 a month for the roaming service. But really for 1 to 2 weeks, I don't think it's necessary. A tip for you to know is that if you enter in a direction in your hotel through Wi-Fi and you're still in airplane mode, you can use that direction. It stays on your phone all the way throughout the destination. So you don't need to even turn on the roaming service. 8, luggage. This is a very controversial topic and honestly one that is going to be up to your discretion. I can tell you from traveling to Europe every year since I was 3, I always take one suitcase and one carry-on. My husband always takes a backpack and a suitcase. The reason I take the carry-on, because for the most part, it's empty. That is where I do most of my shopping for the year. And I want to just dedicate a space to put the shopping in. When it comes to day travel or walking around the streets of Europe, I honestly don't really carry much. I have a purse and I keep my phone in there. My husband really is the designated carrier for all things when roaming around the streets of Europe. He actually bought this alpaca branded man satchel, and he uses that everywhere. He has taped the clasp to open and close it just to avoid any sort of incident with a pickpocketer, and it's very comfortable. It's super spacious. So if we ever need to walk around with our passports, they're protected and it's on him at all times. I would definitely make sure that someone brings any sort of purse that is attached to them and could be hidden, or that is visible and just very secured and there's a zipper. You don't want to bring something that's just magnetic that can easily, stick a hand and grab something. 9, your continuity plan. This is a really important one because, as I alluded to in the luggage conversation, pickpocketers are a real thing and you definitely want to be aware. Although I'm from Spain, I have been a victim of a pickpocket and it is not fun. My advice here is to make a photocopy of your passport picture and document. Okay, you want to take that photocopy with you and make sure that you have it, because if for some reason you lose your ID, your passport, you lose it or it gets pickpocketed, you have a form, a copy of your passport that you can show to the local US consulate. So it's a lot easier for you to get your new temporary passport and the process goes a lot faster. 10, what to pack. I saved the best for last. This is my favorite topic to discuss with someone who's going to Europe for the first time, or maybe going to Spain for the first time. There are a lot of things to consider. First and foremost, power outlets. You want to make sure you get online and purchase a power adapter, because the same cord that you use here in America is completely different and won't work in the outlet over there. So you want to make sure you have an adapter, especially if you're going to bring over a charger or a blow dryer, a curling iron, etc., etc. Flip-flops. Flip-flops are meant for the pool or walking around in your hotel room or Airbnb. One, it's not practical. If you're going to Europe, for the most part, you're probably going to be walking around a lot places. Let's be honest, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb to pickpocketers if you're wearing flip-flops out and about throughout the day. So try and wear closed-toed sandals that are comfortable. You're going to be able to walk in. Check the dress codes for restaurants, especially if you're staying in a nice hotel. There's some restaurants within hotels or even other ones near you, if you're vacationing or summering down in southern parts of Europe, that require pants, This is specifically for men. For women, if you have a dress on, that's totally fine. Make sure you do your due diligence and check that before you leave. No logos. Leave your logos at home. No logo baseball cap, no logo t-shirt. As much as you love your local team or a American football team, leave that at home. That is, again, just gonna make you the target of a pickpocketer, and you're gonna stand out like a tourist like there's no tomorrow. Never forget layers. Although it's summer, it gets cool at night. So it could be up to 85, 90 degrees during the day or even hotter, but at night it always cools down. So make sure you bring a jean jacket or a shawl. You can even get away with like a longer sleeve shirt, but pack appropriately and just know there's a very distinct temperature difference from day and night. And that's a wrap on the 10 essential things for you to know when you're visiting Europe for the first time, or you're going back and just want a refresher on things to know when planning and preparing for your trip. We've covered everything from currency to cultural etiquette to what to pack, what not to pack. So I hope you found this helpful. Leave in the comments the most helpful tip that you found, and please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel, as I am happy to share more about my European travels this summer with you. In the meantime, take care and have a great rest of your day. Adios.